All right, what's up guys? So I wanted to make this quick sort of companion video, everything in air quotes. Wanted to make this quick companion video for the wall-mounted pressure washer install to serve as kind of like a review. I figured that video was gonna be long enough as it was. Wasn't gonna try to tack a review on the end of that, waiting until I'd gotten a chance to use the system a couple of times, which I have now. So I just wanted to give a couple of thoughts, some pros and cons on the system as a whole. It's not really like a review of any individual components because I don't think it matters really what kind of pressure washer you have, what kind of hose you're using or whatever. Again, it's just more about the complete, setup. It's kind of funny, like the incremental upgrades that you make in your sort of detailing / pressure washing journey, I guess, as it were. So I did a video last year on a couple of pressure washer upgrades. One of those was quick disconnects. And dude, like just the incorporation of quick disconnects was a massive improvement to the experience. Instead of having to sit there and thread, the garden hose, the pressure washer hose, the gun, all that stuff, just to be able to click everything in place really quickly, that was awesome. So, you make a couple improvements here and there, some quick disconnects, maybe a better gun, better hose, so on and so forth. This is like that all on steroids, and this is like the complete version of all of that stuff. So I think first and foremost, setup and teardown is where this system shines at its absolute most. My old setup, I'm dragging the pressure washer out of some corner of the garage, uncoiling the hose and trying to figure out where I left the pressure washer gun and all that stuff, because prior to this little renovation here, it didn't have the neatest setup or the most organized setup, obviously. Now it's like connect the gun to the hose, turn the valve to turn the water on, push a button, ready to go. A fraction of the time that the original was. And it's even better when you talk about cleanup, because cleanup, the biggest hassle being trying to like coil the hose back up. I guess like the real star of the show in the setup and teardown is the hose reel. So getting the hose cleaned back up, trying to manually coil it back up, get frustrated halfway through, it's still dripping water everywhere, just a hassle. And I know it's silly to sort of, pine over these dumb little things, but if we're gonna marvel at the sort of convenience of a wall-mounted pressure washer, then we have to take into account the dumb little things that are annoying about the old way. Next up is the neatness of everything. And by that, I just mean sort of the unified togetherness, right? It's just everything just occupies this one little section of the garage. Everything is in its place. If you're into the whole, garage organization and all of that stuff, it's tough to beat a complete setup like this. Whereas before you might have had, bits and pieces of your whole setup spread throughout the garage, like mine was. And I still need to figure out how to make that cord a little bit neater, but otherwise, yes, the neatness and completeness of this setup, love it. Next up is the not having to deal with water spots anymore. Now, technically you don't really need to integrate the CR tanks into a wall-mounted pressure washer setup. However, if you live in an area with hard water like I do, I think our area is rated at like 215 TDS, and if your driveway is in direct sunlight like mine is, then this thing is definitely worth investing into, because prior to that, like I'd be setting up tents if it was like a direct sunny day, especially for like a car show or something I was trying to, prepare for the next day. And if you've ever read any of the, reviews on the CR spotless tanks, man, they work like magic. If you've ever dealt with hard water spots, you know what I'm talking about. First car that we did was Nardo, which I feel like the gray paint on Nardo shows those leftover spots more than Yaz would, for example. So it was like 80 some odd degrees, direct sun, and yeah, used the CR tanks for the final rinse, and there was not a speck of leftover minerals to be found. I don't know if it would come out as well on camera trying to demonstrate it, but it was insanely cool. Now, the obvious downside to having the CR tanks, except for the upfront cost, is the reoccurring cost of the resin. So the resin does get a little bit expensive. It's like 140 bucks for a pair of replacement cartridges, or you can do the bulk resin if you wanted to save a little bit of money, but figure about 140 for the 2 replacement cartridges. Gets about 300 gallons of deionized water, and in my case with the Active 2.3 gallons a minute, so that gets you probably about 140 or so minutes of wash time. So depending on how fast your final rinse process is, because that's the only time that you actually need to use the deionized water, you're probably good for about 30 to 40 washes, I think, in general, with a pair of cartridges. So, I mean, that kind of adds up. That's like $1 a minute practically for using the resin tanks. But, I don't know. Personally, I've spent money on dumber shit. So, nowadays, at this stage, spending the money to just not have to deal with the fuss of hard water spots is fine. Which, speaking of the expense, I mean, I think that really is probably the only actual con to this setup is the expense, right? Now, like I said, you don't need to incorporate the CR tanks in order for a full wall-mounted build, and by not doing so, you also save yourself the money of not having to buy the piping kit, which can run you anywhere from $350 to $700, depending on which one you go with and what additional pieces you need to make everything work. So definitely you can save some money on that. So really, I mean, actually, if you've got a pressure washer already, obviously, and you've got a hose, the only thing you really need is a shelf and a hose reel and a jumper hose. And in the case of the Active 2.3, the cradle actually has the mounting points where you can mount the cradle with the pressure washer on it directly onto the wall, like into the studs, at which point then you really just need the hose reel. So it's really not that cost prohibitive of a venture to put something like this together, but obviously if you want the full setup, the CR tanks, the piping and all of that, yes, there is, sort of the cost of putting it all together. But then again, it's, some people like to spend money on expensive clothing, some people like collectibles, some people like really good scotch, other people might spend some money on, just a really good experience for their pressure washer and good scotch. But anyway, like I said in the beginning, I think I said this in the beginning, it's really all about the experience. Like the whole reason that you do something like this is just because it makes the experience that much better. And like, if I only wash my car every once in a while, or God forbid I took it to a car wash, or if I took it to another detailer or something like that, then obviously something like this would not make sense. But being a very avid detailer, couple of cars that I try to keep in good condition and everything, then yes, building this out was absolutely worth it. It makes the experience just so much better. And if you appreciate things like that, the value of just a better experience in doing anything, then I can't see how something like this is not worth doing. So all that to say that your mileage may vary, but I have a feeling that if you're watching this video, you probably already understand the benefit of having something like this and probably already know that the only con really is just the upfront expense. But if you're thinking about doing it, I highly, highly recommend, if you are an avid detailer, avid car washer, whatever it is, if you like taking care of your cars and everything, if you, like me, find the process of detailing to be kind of therapeutic, put in the AirPods or headphones or whatever and put on some music or a podcast or some YouTube videos or whatever it is, all of this stuff just helps get all of the frustrating parts of that out of your way. And to me, that is absolutely worth it. Plus, it does look cool. It just does look cool. I've had some family members come over and marvel at like how cool that looks on a wall. They might not understand why someone would go through all the trouble, but hey man, again, it's about the experience. So anyway, guys, I hope you found this quick review helpful. I hope it was quick. I feel like it was pretty quick. But anyway, I hope you found this helpful. If you haven't seen the build video for this, check that out. Again, it is not a DIY necessarily. It's not an installation guide so much as it is just a walkthrough showing you everything that I did, everything that went into putting something like this together. And also check out that sheet if you're interested. I show every single part that I used, a link to where you can get it or where you can read more about that piece or whatever, as well as a bunch of installation notes. So anyway, hope you found all of this helpful. More garage stuff coming soon, way more detailing stuff coming soon, and of course, more F80 content coming soon. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not already, come back for more stuff, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.